Yeah, I'll be there in a minute. No, I'm not on Facebook, for a change. Yeah, okay, right. Just a quickie. This is about how to enhance Theraflex. So the question was, what other exercises do I do as well, which other people might want to know about. Okay, well, first of all, this is the famous foam roller that you sort of lie on when you lie on your thoracic, your rib cage, when you're getting your back done on Theraflex. It's very effective. What you do is you get one of them, and then you sort of get a bread knife and you crudely enough sort of chop it in half so it's sort of quite flat. The general idea is you get hold of this foam roller and you put it vertically against the wall, as such, vertically-ish anyway, and you lean on it, but not directly, particularly, along your back, the actual spine, but either side of the spine. And you sort of do sort of a rolly exercise where you sort of roll up and roll down while sort of pushing against the wall quite a lot. And as you do this, you may or may not, either on different sides of the back, feel different sort of muscle tensions. The general idea being that if you're in the army and they had some sort of rule that said, oh, you have to, instead of standing up ridiculously straight all the time, slightly curve on the malarkey, so you have to bend your knees a lot. You can imagine a sergeant major, a drill sergeant after 30 years of doing this, to still have bent knees even if he was allowed to walk straight. Now he's in Civvy Street. Well, the general idea, if he was to be taught how to walk straight, then he'd have to have not only his joints loosened up, which is what the Theraflex does, but also the muscles around the joints, which, you know, be some sort of massage thing, because they'd be very, very tight. Because if you were to stand up straight, with your legs straight, and then sort of bend, you can stand up for ages. If you sort of bend the legs, and you're in the sort of sitting position without a seat, you can really hold this position for only a matter of seconds. What happens is the muscles become very, very strong, but they're also constantly in a state of tension in this position. And I think that's probably what happens, I'm leaning against the wall here, I think that's probably what happens with the back, is that the more your back curves, the more your knees curves, the more the muscles around it have to be tense and contracted in order to hold you up straight at all. And the more tiring it is, and the more kind of knotted they become. So this exercise here is about sort of releasing those muscles. The other one is to get hold of a tennis ball. One moment. Voila, tennis ball. The tennis ball, I find, is sort of humanised, shape of a human hand, size of a human fist type thing. That if you were to sort of, again, stick it against the wall and then lean on it and roll, again, up and down, mainly the sides of the back rather than the actual spine itself, it really sort of, it's very good at getting into the muscle. And in that manner you have more control over what part of the massage that you get. I have another little thing here. This is one of these, if you see it, rolly devices which you're meant to strengthen your stomach muscles with. But I find when you use it against a wall, leaning up and down, again you get quite a good sort of back massage, back muscle stretch. The essential things being to, outside of Theraflex, to enhance the Theraflex, is to get it to stretch the back. The important things are to stretch the back, to strengthen the back, and to rotate the back. This is a very good, I talk about torso rotation now and again. Essentially what it is you stand, I find this is one that works very well for me. Again, something very important is the variations, what works for you. But this one works for me. So as you stand up and then you hold your hands a bit like sort of an English cartoon vicar walking along the street, and you sort of rotate from left to right, sometimes perhaps looking straight, and other times look in the opposite direction. That's the opposite direction, and maybe even the same direction, so you get a further one, with your chest in a Pilates sort of stance and sort of very holding everything together. And again, you find when you do that, certain points, that's very tight at the back, and I didn't know that was very tight at the back. Which brings me on to variation and experimentation. That it's a good idea to go to a Pilates class. It's a good idea to go to a yoga class, and then perhaps do flamenco dancing or some other sort of dancing where they have lots of movements which you've never normally particularly used. And in them, in some of the moves, you'll be doing some sort of move, and you'll be, for your particular back, while everybody else will be doing yada yada yada, you'll be going, oh, that's a bit tight at the back, I didn't know that was causing a problem down there. And then this is something you can go and practice and work on, and in that, when you're feeling the back tense when you do something like some movement that everybody else is managing to do with consummate ease, you've got some sort of tight muscle back there. And if you keep on doing that exercise and repeat it, whatever exercise does it for you, again, it'll loosen those muscles, stretch those muscles, and when Theraflex comes to release the actual vertebrae, the curve won't be still held in place by very, very tight muscles either side. The muscles around the side will be more flexible, movable, and when they realise that they can move, now the joints unlocked and mobilised, it'll better enable them to move. And you get bigger movements in the curve, bigger reductions in the curve quicker, and then sort of more stable. I do occasionally get people saying things like, well, do you have to do these sort of exercises for life? Well, I think it's generally a good idea for everybody to go down to the gym a couple of times a week anyway, and if you have no problems at all, and indeed if you don't go down to the gym or do some exercise at least a couple of times a week, and perhaps a little bit more, then I can't believe you wouldn't have problems of some descriptions. So just join a gym, find out what works for you and your particular curve and your weak spot, and work on it and do it. This is some of the ideas you might want to try. Oh, I've got another one for you. This I picked up in this thing here. I picked this up in a boxing gym and in a shop selling boxing equipment. And I thought that looks like it's going to work for me. And that's something you need to do, is look at things and go, that could really be good for my back. Well, if you think it's going to be like that, give it a go. And so I bought one of these things, and what you do is you put it on your head like this, and you look wonderfully ridiculous, so it's best not done in public. And it's got this sort of, it's elastic, it's sort of a bit like one of those, and you sort of move your head to the other side, and all the boxers do it, so when they take a punch they have stronger necks. But some people do say that, that way and that way, and they can do it backwards and forwards and yada yada yada, and they have a little, let me remove this now for dignity's sake, they have a little hook on the side so you can hook it onto a chair and get somebody to sit on the chair and pull it back, and when they stand up you can fall over and have comical moments, etc. Yeah, there's a few. I'm going to show you another few I've just done in the gym today, but essentially the idea is it's about stretching the back, and it's about rotating the back and strengthening the back. If you do that, then however it works for you, then that I find will allow Theraflex to really reduce your curve quicker by a larger amount, and have that reduction far more stable. Thank you very much. That wasn't very stylish, was it? I'm off for my night out. Good night.